When you're with a new man and you're wearing the jewelry given to you by other men, is it ever awkward or uncomfortable for the new man in your life?
So I've been told.
Yeah? What do you do about it?
Encourage them to give me more.
There are two things fans have come to expect in Hollywood romances. First, they won't last long. It's the exception to the rule for celebrity marriages to last for decades without a divorce. Second, there may be infidelity involved. Being around so many beautiful celebrities means constant temptation. Keep watching to learn about beloved actresses who became infamous for affairs. Grace Kelly. Grace may be best known for becoming a literal princess. She married Prince Rainier II of Monaco on April 19, 1956. She was also romantically linked to several other men. It's unclear if all of them resulted in a full-on affair. She admitted,
"My private life became public, and I really had no privacy at all, and that was an adjustment to make."
She worked with Gary on her first credited role, 1952's High Noon. Her biographer, Donald Spoto, says there's no evidence of romance between the two beyond gossip and rumors. Grace's sister, Lizanne, does admit the rising beauty was infatuated with her co-star. That's the only thing that's proven. It's more likely this was just a young girl with a crush. Grace's relationship with Bing Crosby went further. They did officially date after his wife's death. There are rumors that their rendezvous began even sooner. Another biographer, James Spada, said they'd been together in his home even before that. Grace's first official affair may have been with Tony Curtis while they filmed The Country Girl. He was married to Janet Leigh, and she was still romancing Bing. The way he describes it does leave room for doubt. Her most famous connection was to Clark Gable. Ava Gardner admitted they had eyes for each other. Donald Sinden apparently drunkenly caught them together in his tent while filming Mogambo. There's also an affair that Grace reportedly had twice. The Grimaldi family says she went with Bill Holden while he was still married on the sets of The Bridges at Toko-Ri and The Country Girl. Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid married neurosurgeon Peter Lindstrom in 1937. They were living separate lives by 39. He was studying at the University of Rochester, and she moved to California to pursue acting. They reunited on the West Coast in 1943. Ingrid was at the top of her game at the time. She earned international acclaim for her role in Casablanca. She also earned an Oscar for 1944's Gaslight and starred in 3 Hitchcock movies. Ingrid's world changed when she met director Roberto Rossellini on the set of the 1950s movie Stromboli. They began a passionate affair. She left Peter and became pregnant with Renato, Roberto's son, days before her divorce was finalized. It was a career-ending scandal, she said.
I didn't understand that the hatred became so enormously big for a thing that, after all, it was my private life.
She received piles of hate mail. Viewers began boycotting her films. The Ed Sullivan Show banned her. The government even felt it necessary to publicly shame her. Colorado Senator Edwin C. Big Ed Johnson called her, quote, one of the most powerful women on earth and a powerful influence for evil. He even added Rita Hayworth's name into the discussion, calling them both apostles of degradation. Ingrid couldn't remain in America after that and fled to Europe. She gave birth to twin daughters, one of whom is actress Isabella Rossellini. She returned to Hollywood in 1956 when the negative press had died down. She ended her marriage to Roberto in 57. Despite the previous scandal, she won 2 more Oscars. Rita Hayworth. Rita was one of the most beautiful women in old Hollywood. The press dubbed her the love goddess. She married director Orson Welles in a courthouse ceremony in 1943. It seemed like an odd match. What was even more odd was the fact that Rita had reportedly been engaged to Victor Mature up to that point. Her relationship with Orson ended in 1946. She took a vacation to the Riviera to get her mind off things and never expected what she'd find. Rita caught the eye of Ali Khan, a prince, spiritual leader, and known womanizer. He heard she was arriving and asked gossip columnist Elsa Maxwell for a chance to see her. Rita had been planning to end her vacation early, but was persuaded to stay. She went to one of Ali Khan's elaborate parties. They were both married, but they began dating anyway. The response was just as bad as it was to Ingrid's affair, if not worse. Columbia Studios president Harry Cohn sued her for $1.2 million because she wanted to take time off from acting to spend with the prince. The tabloids were unkind as well. London's The People called the affair an insult to decent-minded women the world over. Rita and Ali Khan still got married in France on May 27, 1949. They had their first child, Princess Yasmin, 7 months later. The relationship soured, mainly due to his infidelities. She filed for divorce in 1951. The custody battle over their children was bitter and long, lasting almost a decade. Ali Khan literally held on to them until death. She only won custody when he died in a car accident in 1960. Rita then married actor Dick Haymes. They divorced in 1955 after he struck her during a public fight. She married James Hill in 1958, but divorced him in 1961. Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh caught the eye of many a fan or fellow actor. That included veteran of stage and screen Laurence Olivier. He first saw her in the play The Mask of Virtue in 1936. In her biography, she said once they met, she immediately told a friend he was the man she was going to marry. The problem was they were both already married. She was wed to Herbert Lee Holman. He was married to Jill Esmond. Neither couple felt much passion for each other. Herbert was barely supportive of Vivien's passion for the stage. Laurence claimed in his autobiography he only married Jill because, as he said, he wasn't likely to do any better at my age and with my undistinguished track record. Vivien and Laurence eventually got the chance to be together. They appeared in the movie Fire Over England. Then they traveled to Denmark for performances of Hamlet on stage. Laurence said, quote, "I couldn't help myself with Vivien. No man could. I hated myself for cheating on Jill, but then I had cheated before. But this was something different. This wasn't just out of lust. This was love that I didn't really ask for but was drawn into." They eventually made it official and were married in August of 1940. But it wasn't the dream union they had hoped for. The marriage fell apart right away because of Laurence's alcohol addiction, but that was only the beginning. Then there was Australian actor Peter Finch. Vivien met him and began a year-long affair. Laurence thought he'd lost her forever, but they stayed together for years. They went through almost every type of struggle, including mental health and miscarriages. The fight to save their marriage ended in May 1960. The star-crossed lovers stayed in contact. Laurence wrote to Vivien after the divorce. He said, quote, "I want to say thank you for understanding it all for my sake. You did nobly and bravely and beautifully, and I am very sorry that I must have been hell for you." Elizabeth Montgomery. Elizabeth Montgomery became a household name thanks to the sitcom Bewitched. It earned her 5 Emmy nominations and 4 Golden Globe nominations. The show mixed a charming, normal family with elements of the supernatural. But her real life was darker than most fans know. Her father, Robert, was jealous of her success. He was cold and unloving, and she didn't want her children growing up around him. That may have encouraged her to choose the wrong men. She was also often romantically linked with older men like Elvis Presley and Dean Martin. Her first marriage was to Frederick Kamen in 1954. It ended because of her pursuit of a Hollywood career. Her second marriage was to Gig Young in 1956. It ended in divorce in 1963. There were rumors he was abusive and jealous. Her third marriage was to Bill Asher. He was a producer who helped her land her breakout role. The relationship seemed strong at first, but infidelity swooped in on both sides. Elizabeth began an affair with one of the directors, Richard Michaels. Bill was deeply hurt and ended the relationship in 1973. Elizabeth and Richard never officially got married, despite their passionate affair. She instead married Robert Foxworth in 1993. They remained together until her death on May 18, 1995, from colon cancer. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah amassed over 300 film, stage, TV, and radio credits during her career. It's almost impossible to say how many affairs she amassed. As an interviewer put it,
"A great many things have been said about Miss Tallulah Bankhead, but 2 things certainly can be said. 1, that she is a superb actress, and 2, that she is a personality that no one can ignore."
She never called herself bisexual, but used the term ambisextrous instead. She also spoke openly about her sex life. She called herself a very satisfied Jane after romancing Johnny Weissmuller. In addition to many run-ins with men, Patsy Kelly admitted to their romantic relationship. Tallulah was even open enough to talk about what it was like when she went too long without an affair. Time magazine told a story about it, and it made her family angry. She promised to never speak to a magazine reporter again. The Hays Commission and its Hays Code were formed to determine what was appropriate to show in movies and TV. Tallulah's candidness got her put at the top of its Doom Book, a list of 150 actors or actresses, quote, unsuitable for the public. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these was your favorite actress to watch on screen? Let us know in the comments section below.